Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to honor our top 3 finishers in today's Chevrolet Indy Duel in Detroit, presented by Quicken Loans for Duel number 2. Now let's honor our 3rd place driver in today's race. Let's hear it for the driver, the number 18 Sonny's Barbecue Dale Coyne Racing Honda, Mike Conway. And here to present our 3rd place trophy today, Heather LeVere, Vice President of Business Development, Quicken Loans. Second day in a row for Mike, of course, to be at the podium, the winner yesterday. Now we move on to our 2nd place finisher in today's race. Let's hear it for the driver, the number 16 Acorn Stairlifts, Real Letterman Lanigan Honda, James Jakes. And here to present our 2nd place trophy is Jim Campbell, U.S. Vice President of Performance Vehicles and Motorsports for Chevrolet. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's welcome our Duel number 2 race winner here today, the driver of the number 77 Schmidt Hamilton HP Motorsports machine, Simon Pagano. Presenting the trophy, Heather LeVere, the Vice President of Business Development of Quicken Loans. Simon, very quickly, what a great run today for you in the Schmidt Hamilton machine.
It was a fantastic day. Thank you to everybody in the HP team. They've been working to midnight last night to figure out what we needed. Yes, they were completely out of love with those guys. They knew exactly how to kind of manage the train there. And thanks to Honda, all our sponsors, everybody that supports us, Sam, Davey, and Rick, thank you very much for their support. I wouldn't be here without them, so it's pretty sweet day. A day I've been waiting my whole career.
What is this day like for you to stand here, top step of the podium?
When I started go-kart I was 8, right? And I'm 29, so that's 21 years working really hard and finally making it to a top step of an IndyCar race. So it's the dream of a kid come true.
Simon Pagenaud, we've got one more award to give him. In honor of his first place finish in our Chevrolet Indy Duel in Detroit, presented by Quicken Loans, I'd like to invite Jacques Benisse with Shinola, the Grand Prix official timepiece and timekeeper, to join us on the podium to present you with one of the first American-made watches being manufactured right here in Detroit. What a great win by this entire team that you see down here in front of me. We also have one other trophy to hand out today, and that is to the owner. The team is made up, of course, of Rick Peterson, Davey Hamilton, and Sam Schmidt. And we're going to get Heather Levere from Quicken Loans, the Vice President of Business Development, to come around. Got the trophy. And well deserved. Simon's going to come down and join in. As he said, this was a team effort today for the 77 car to wind up in victory lane here in Detroit. Now we had an emotional win last Sunday in Indianapolis with Tony Kanaan. The same here today with the 77 and Simon Pagenaud and Schmidt Hamilton Racing. Simon, if we can get you back up here. Get you back up here on the top step of the podium. That smile may never go off his face. Okay, gentlemen, if all three of you will raise your trophies high above your head right now. Show them what you've got. Big smile. There you have it. First, second, and third. Our first duels here in Detroit, our Chevrolet Indy Duel in Detroit, presented by Quicken Loans. 2 races, 2 different winners on this weekend. Congratulations, all 3. Congratulations to all the fans. We had great weather to run the races. It's been an exciting weekend. We hope you enjoyed everything. We look for you to come back next year here to Belle Isle for the Chevrolet Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix. And I know these guys are going to be celebrating all night long, but they've got to get ready for another race next weekend. Good luck, gentlemen. Congratulations again, drivers.
do that red one? Yeah, pretty much. I think they did one half day.
And gentlemen, in front of you, bottles of champagne. Have at it. Okay, gentlemen, we need Simon and we need Mike back up on the podium so we have our two winners of our duel this weekend. So we get a picture of them together.
We'll begin with today's post-race press conference with our podium finishers from the Chevrolet Indy Duel in Detroit Race 2. We are pleased to be joined by James Jakes of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. James finished second today, which is a career best IZOD IndyCar Series finish for James. His previous best finish was 8th at Toronto in 2012. James also finished 10th in yesterday's race 1. Walk us through today's race for you, James.
It was entertaining, that's for sure. We obviously started second. Didn't get the best of starts. We always seem to struggle on restarts. We seem to be in between gears too much. And then kind of whenever we managed to get into a rhythm, you know, 4th or 5th position, yellow flags kept coming out, and it was very difficult to, kind of plan a strategy from then on. And then we got into, I'm not sure which lap it was, but there was quite a big breakdown in turn 1, and I lost my front wing, had to come in and pit. Actually hurt my wrist, the one that I broke a couple of years ago, so I was quite worried about that. But then we got a window towards the end of the race where everyone pitted in front of us and the track opened up and we were just able to push like crazy and managed to leapfrog a load of people, and that's what put us in the position really. I always knew that if that opportunity came along, you know, we had the pace to do it on the blacks. It was just a question of whether the reds would hold up, but we did some great work with the reds this morning, and when we put them on, they didn't fall off as much. They did fall off the last couple of laps, and obviously having Mike breathing down our neck, but we were able to save a couple of pushed passes for the last lap, and that's what sort of kept us in the second position.
We should also note this is the second podium finish for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. They also finished on the podium with Graham Rahal at Long Beach. We're also joined by Mike Conway of Dale Coyne Racing, who finished third. Mike is the only driver to finish on the podium for race 1 and 2 this weekend. You led 78 laps over the course of the 2 days here. Talk about today's race.
Yeah, it was fun, lots of fun actually. I mean, it didn't quite go our way in terms of when the yellows fell. You know, a couple of guys pitted and we kind of lost out a little bit there, but you know, we just trying to, on each restart, just trying to gap. You know, we're able to do that, just get like a couple of second gap lead and then the yellow before again. So it didn't quite go our way, and then that's when we kind of shuffled back. And on the reds, towards the end there, we had a bit of a the right rear tire was going down. So you know, we lost positions at the Kimball and to back down. But then yeah, until as soon as we got the blacks on, just pushed as hard as I could. And on the restarts, got a really mega restart on the last one. And, yeah, just followed through. I think I passed like 6 cars or something in one lap, and yeah, just car was just so hooked up. And yeah, pushed all the way to the end. Didn't quite have enough again to the end there. Used up my bars, pushed the bars. Maybe a little bit too early in the end to get some there. But no, great job by all the guys, and obviously James and Simon for, you know, mega result. And yeah, contact my team enough for, you know, giving me the opportunity this weekend. And you know, first and third, I couldn't imagine that really coming into this weekend. So big credit to them. And yeah, hopefully there's some more races for me. I think maybe Toronto, Dale's looking at doing, so that should be a lot of fun. Another double header, so I can't wait for that now.
Great, thank you. We'll go ahead and open it for questions.
Also, just also big thanks to Honda. You know, they've put in a lot of work since the start of the year, and to do it again here in Detroit, to have 3 Hondas on the podium is great for them. And it just is you know, kind of a tribute to the work that the guys have been putting in the shop. Obviously, we didn't have the month of May that we wanted, but the guys have bounced back in great fashion.
We'll go ahead and open it for questions. A reminder, we do have a wireless mic, so wait until you have it before asking.
Just wonder, Mike, a lot of the drivers talked about the physical training they did to prepare for this. You didn't even know you were coming here until a few days ago. So how did you feel physically, and how grueling was it?
Fine, yeah, I feel good. I felt good all the way through the race. You know, I knew, you know, I've been kind of preparing for Le Mans and stuff myself, which is a couple of weekends time. So I've been training hard, and you know, not much rest for me. So yeah, felt good out there. I mean, it wasn't easy. I think every driver must have woke up this morning with a few aches and pains, as we always kind of have after a race. But you know, you just got to kind of get on with it and knuckle down. But you know, it just shows, I think, all the fitness of all the guys here, how hard we train to, you know, to be good in the car. It's very physical out there, especially this track is quite low grip, but you know, it's like the grip up there towards the end, it just makes it even harder. So you know, you're constantly working the wheel, and but I feel good. I might be feeling a bit sore tomorrow, but we'll see.
James, yesterday when you took on Red, I don't know if it was just because they were falling off, but I think you came over the radio and said that, you know, the car was virtually undrivable on Red. What was the change that was made overnight, to the extent that you can tell us? And also, did it affect the handling on laps at all?
Yeah, yeah, you're correct. I mean, we qualified on blacks this week, and just because, you know, the car was working so well on them, and we really struggled on the reds. And the game plan yesterday was to put them on and get them out of the way as quick as possible. And we did that, but we lost so much ground, and it was very frustrating. I mean, we knew that if we had we wanted a chance at the podium today or maintaining the position where we started, that we had to find a bit of consistency on the reds. And this morning we filled the thing up with fuel and went out on red tyres. And I'm not sure if people, you know, treat it like a normal warm-up session or a practice session, but we just solely worked on that. And big credit to the guys, because we found a lot. I mean, yesterday in the race we couldn't get in the 79s on red. Today, you know, we got in the 77s or the low 78s. So without that, we wouldn't have been able to do it.
We'll go Bruce and then Marshall.
The style of today's race seemed to be a lot different than yesterday. I know yesterday you were able to set a pace and kind of keep it, and it was a clean race, and today was a lot of crashes, including the one in turn 1. Just talk about, if both of you could talk about how different the nature of today's race was compared to yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it quite stop-start, especially when you're trying to, pull a gap and get a lead. But yeah, no, I thought today there might be a few more yellows. I don't know, I just thought people might be just trying a bit harder, and the track's a little bit quicker, so kind of a mistake can happen. But yeah, it was unfortunate that there was so many really in the beginning, because it was when we were trying to gap everybody, and that's when we kind of lost out a bit with guys pitting. So that's just the nature of it sometimes. It's sometimes you have a really kind of quiet race, no yellows, and another time you have a lot. So I don't know. Doesn't really depend on a circuit or a day, really. It just kind of just goes that way sometimes.
Yeah, I think like Mike said, it's very hard to get into a rhythm. The beginning part of the race when there was 4 or 5 laps where it was green, and things were starting to settle in a little bit, and the caution came out. I think the biggest thing for that was just the fact that you had a practice session this morning before the race. Obviously, yesterday we went qualifying straight into the race, so nobody ran on full tanks, and obviously you had all the teams yesterday running in the race, and people had a better idea of how the car was going to handle. So then you probably had quite a few guys at the back of the pack or mid to back that thought they had a better car and they had to be more aggressive to get to the front. The driving was definitely interesting out there today. There was a a lot of wrecks. And, you know, I don't know what happened at turn 1, but I got hit from every angle. How I didn't bend anything, I don't know. And I think Simon lost his front wing as well. We both came in the pits on the same lap to change our wings.
Mike, how much time do you reckon you lost trying to get past Dario? Because you were good to go to the finish. Simon still had a stop to make, so you're trying to draw down that gap. You know, the finish line, it was 5-6 seconds, but do you think that was the difference, or?
No, I think it was more when the rear tire was going down the reds, because, you know, I had a big chunk of a lead, you know, to Charlie, and then all of a sudden it was just gone, and then he overtook me, and then tried to hold off Simon, and it just kind of get worse, and then he got by. I think that's probably what did it. I did get held up a little bit with Dario, but, you know, got by within a couple of laps, so I think more of the damage was done at the end of the red stint.
Have you had any more dialogue with Dale about returning to do some more of these for him?
Yeah, no, he said, you know, Toronto is definitely on the cards, so looking forward to that. That should be fun. And some standard starts there too, so it's, you know, another thing thrown into the ring, so it should be fun.
Mike, I think it was just as you got past TK at one point, it looked like you hit the wall with your right rear, so I was kind of surprised to see your left rear then go down later. But did you actually hit the wall? I mean, we were only seeing it head on, so it was hard to tell.
I didn't feel like it. I mean, I think it was through turn 5, was it the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of, the rear spun out, but I think it just kissed that little curve, which is before the, but it didn't, I don't think it was.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to hang it out to get a gap. So, but yeah, it's like that around here. You know, you can have the rear end just step out pretty quick. It's fun. I think this is one of the, I don't know, toughest tracks here, and you've really got to hang it out for a quick lap. So it's enjoyable for sure.
After Will Power crash, he said it's time for IndyCar to rethink double file restarts on street races. Do you both agree with that? If so, why? Or if not, why?
I don't know. I mean, I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I think at the start, when we first started doing it, it was a bit of a disaster. But once we all got used to, you know, what it took to, you know, stay clean and stay out of trouble, then it was alright. So I don't know. Just some circuits, I suppose, it's harder because you've got, you know, the nature of the circuit, you know, depends on how it's going to be on the double file restart. So, you know, some circuits it's good, and some circuits it's harder for sure. You know, one small mistake, I think it's like that anywhere really. One small mistake from anyone can, you know, create that domino effect. I mean, I'm not sure what happened there at that corner, but
I think the biggest thing is the inconsistency of kind of the starts, you know, on each run, and also if the sweepers haven't been out there and you're on the outside, it is impossible to stay with the guy on the inside, because you just spin up the wheels and you lose 2 positions, and then you get people that are frustrated and, you know, they try and make up those 2 positions again. You know, at the last corner here, if the sweepers aren't out, the guys on the inside of the racing line have such an advantage over the guys on the left, because you've got, you know, so many pieces of chunks of rubber, and it's just impossible to get power down. So I can see Will's point a bit. You know, if we could get the sweepers out there on every caution, you know, it would help. But obviously that's going to take up too much time. So it's a tough one.
James, right here. With about 3 or 4 laps to go, you had a moment coming out of, I think, the turn 11 or 12 I want to say. How bad were the reds falling off at that point, and how did you manage to save it from almost contacting the wall once Mike was catching you?
Yeah, I actually bounced off the wall on turn 6, the left-hander. It was kind of 2 options with the reds. I either try and preserve them the whole way through, or I push like crazy in the beginning and try and build a gap and see how much they fall off. But I knew that the team told me that obviously Simon and Mike only had 1 push to pass left, and initially in the stint we were catching Simon, but then we just tailed off too much, so the priority was trying to keep Mike behind, and I just made sure that I had 2 push to passes left on the last lap, and I used one coming out of 2, and then I used another one coming out of 7, the right hander, I think it is. So it was they were dropping off quite badly, but like I said, you know, we made some massive improvements compared better yesterday because we were able to use the red initially, get a good pace out of it, and then it would drop off. But it was there was a lot of guys out there that were struggling. I remember in the middle stint seeing Dixon passing Dixon, and he was just hanging it out everywhere. And he was on the reds.
Any other questions for our podium finishers? We'll go ahead and wrap things up. Congratulations, guys, on a great race and a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Nice show, guys. Thank you.
We should be joined momentarily by our race winners Simon Pagenaud, as well as team owners Sam Schmidt and Davey Hamilton. We are pleased now.
Did I take the right spot?
Yes, you did. When you take the middle, that's how it works. Congratulations. We're pleased to be joined by our race winner, Simon Pagenaud. Simon is the 6th different winner this season in 7 races for the Izod IndyCar Series and our 3rd first-time winner this season. A few other important stats. This is Honda's 199th IndyCar win and 100th win with competition. Simon, amazing race. Talk about it.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. I think it's more, we should say, an amazing weekend. We really had some issues yesterday in the race. As you can see, it was difficult for Tristan and I, but qualifying improved dramatically compared to where we were before. The HP team is just working so hard and they make things happen. So yesterday was difficult, but they worked really hard. My engineer Ben Bredsman, Nick Snyder, they were on top of everything, looking through the data, trying to understand what we were missing. And I think they went back to the hotel, it was midnight, and came back pretty early this morning. They all looked very tired. But they said they thought they found it. So actually when I jumped in the car for the warm-up, it was much better, much improved, and they made some even bigger change for the race, and the car was just incredible in the race. The race was pretty eventful, but I was on full attack mode the whole race. I had my goal was to attack, to go to the front and not look behind, which we did on every restart. We used a lot of Honda push to pass there, but it worked. So we jumped position at every restart. We unfortunately got collected when Will had a loose moment in one, but luckily enough, my reflexes are pretty sharp right now, so I managed to avoid him, but damaged the front wing. But the team was just fantastic in the pit, changed the front wing in I believe a tenth of a second, and we're back out, still in the contention. So from that moment on, I just thought, okay, let's just go for it. We'll see what happens. And we gained one position almost every laps and used a lot of push to pass again. And we found ourselves being in the lead by having such a fast car. So once we were in the lead, it was a lot easier to just push and do qualifying laps after qualifying laps. But gotta say, those hours in the gym really paid off today.
Tell us, how does it feel to finally find yourself on top of the podium?
It feels, I feel very well. First of all, I think the last 2 laps were very difficult. It was for me. I mean, you know, I'm 29, just turned 29 during the Indy month, and I started racing. I was 8, and my goal was either Formula 1 or IndyCar, and that's what I wanted to do as a human, as a person. That was my goal. My dad never believed I could do it until later, when he found out that I actually had talent, and he pushed as hard as he could to make it happen. My mom as well. So it's 21 years of hard work. You know, trying to have my dad believe I could make it happen first, and then have sponsors helping me throughout the young years of my career, and then have people like Simon and Davey believe in me when I was doing sports car, and people like Honda obviously made this happen. So it's 21 years of a lot of hard work on every front, and those last 2 laps I was quite emotional in the car. It was difficult to stay focused, but I just kept saying, just keep pushing, don't lift. And it worked out, and when I crossed the finish line, it was a pretty sweet moment.
We'll go ahead and start with questions, starting with Marshall.
Simon, you've had a pretty interesting career path. Tell me a little bit about when your open wheel career stalled. You and I were standing in the paddock at Miller Motorsports Park at Utah, of all places, in 2008, and you started a sports car career. Did you think you'd be able to transition from that into standing here talking about your first win?
Well, I believe you always have to believe to make it happen. But there were a lot of tough moments, especially the end of 2007, 2008. Gilles Lefranc called me and Honda, and they hired me to go in sports car. And honestly, at the time, I was open wheel car guy and didn't want to give up on my dream. But at the end of the day, it's also business. That's what you do as a business, as a work. And I thought, why not? Why not trying sports car? Maybe I can gain some experience, understand more things, open my mind a little bit. And honestly, when I went to sports car, I was like, I think I'm learning a lot here. I learned how to work on tire development, engine development, electronics, and aerodynamic, which honestly I had no idea all those items, I had no idea what I was talking about before 2008. And I learned a lot because Gilles, my teammate in Team Honda, was an open book. We spent hours just chit-chatting around the table and explaining me things. And I just drank everything he had to say. And it helped a lot. I think sports cars definitely was the biggest move of my career to come back. And the hardest thing was to have someone trust me, trust the fact that I could come back and be a strong open wheel driver.
We're also very pleased to have up here the team owners, Sam Schmidt, Davey Hamilton, and Peterson. Congratulations, guys, on first career win for the team as well. Sam, we've got to ask. We've got a microphone right there. You're the winningest team owner in Indy Lights, and now you finally get that first IndyCar win. Talk about it.
This is better. I don't know if I can give up all those wins and all those championships for this, but this is really huge. You had a chance to win one race as a driver, and I know what Simon's feeling like right now. So this is very special. It's been a long road, a long journey these last 13 to 14 years, and then obviously the guys behind me wouldn't be here today without Rick and Davey, and so just fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and continue with our questions. I believe Bruce Martin.
Simon, you've been a real loyal Honda driver, and this race is pretty much in General Motors' hometown. You can see the GM World headquarters just outside that window there. Just talk about, especially the way Honda performed in the Indy 500 last week. Everybody at Honda was disappointed to come here this weekend. And I mean, they pretty much dominated both races.
Well, Honda are famous for making great race engines, and that's what they did at Indy 500. They came back very strong. I believe, Justin was fifth and we were eighth. We were running for the almost the lead at some point there. We came back very strong. We had a very fast car, so they worked really hard. I think they understood how the engine's working a little bit better at Indy, and it's paying off here in Detroit. So it's very sweet for them to win here in General Motors City. But I want to thanks General Motors City, GM for putting this event. It's great to have promoters and partners, and I wouldn't bash them at all. I think what they're doing here is fantastic. But I'm definitely very proud of Honda's work and very happy to be part of the family.
Simon, over here on your far left, way left. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was your reaction to seeing Vautier in the tires? Did you think that was your bad moment?
Yeah, well, I got worried. I think I lost half a second that lap just thinking too much. Yeah, I was a little worried. I thought, oh man, we're going to have a restart. I don't want this at all. But luckily enough, they cleared him. I think I think everybody wanted me to win this race, so it helped a little bit. They were very active on I don't know what they did with Tristan. They pulled him out or restarted him, but the next lap he wasn't there anymore. So thanks to the safety crew. I gotta say thanks to them. And, when I see them, I just I think I buy them a beer.
Simon, tell me a little bit about the relationship you have with your engineer Ben Bretzman. You guys have worked together for a good while. He just got his first IndyCar win, and thanks to you, I think IndyCar now has its first winning engineer brothers with his brother Eric Bretzman and Scott Dixon.
Well, you know, Ben is an incredible man, I would say, but also he's a fantastic engineer. He's, I mean, I can't recall the last time I've had a bad balance. You know, we talk a lot about grip right now, but car balance has always been pretty good. Ben knows exactly what I need, and I don't even need to talk to him anymore. We've been together since the beginning of 2010. In sports cars, we won the championship in AMS with iCroft, and he went to NASCAR in 2011, and I talked him out of NASCAR, basically coming and joining us at the Schmidt team. So it's great that he followed me, because he truly always trusts me. You know, some days I'm like, yeah, I don't know what he thinks, but he always trusts me. Always think that he can provide me a better car, and sometimes I think I should have driven better for him. You know, so it's this kind of relationship that makes us so strong. I think his wife is a little jealous of us. My girlfriend is jealous of us because we're on the phone pretty much 12 hours of one day, so every day. So it's, but that's what makes us so strong, and that's, you know, what's happening. The relationship we have is I like it by today. Yesterday we had a really rough day. Today we had a fantastic day because we bounced back, and that's what Ben is great at, but he's really well supported by Nick, Simon Snyder, and the whole team around him, Dan Hobbs, Brandon Cleve, and especially Rob Edwards, our team manager. So the whole team is just working really well together, and Ben being such a great, good person, there's a pretty great atmosphere in the team.
We'll go Larry, and then Bruce, and then
I think in this series we're used to seeing Ganassi and Penske on top, and those guys haven't won. I guess to you, what does it say, and how encouraging it is that, you know, truly anybody can win no matter what team you're racing for?
Yeah, this year has very much been the case. It's quite impressive, to be honest. We never know who's going to be on top each weekend, and everybody I thought were very impressed with Scoyne and Conway. They did a fantastic job this weekend. Mike was just the class of the field most of the time. I was happy we managed to reverse that, but it's great to see what IndyCar has been able to provide, a product that's, you know, helping every team to be able to be competitive, and there's a lot of smart people in every team right now, so it's about who's going to be the smartest, but the smartest in every weekend. But it's certainly very, very competitive and very difficult to pick a winner every race.
Bruce.
How do you feel after these two races, and also if Sam or Davey want to talk about the works that the crew guys had to do to get the cars turned around, you know, less than 24 hours race ready?
Yeah, it feels like the 24 hours of Le Mans all again. Really, you know, it's certainly 7 laps race is a long race, especially with an IndyCar, which I believe is one of the toughest race car to drive at the moment without the power steering, which honestly is a great thing. It rewards drivers who will goes to the gym, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of a second race, you're holding on nerves more so than anything else. So being in the lead really helps.
And also, if we could follow up with Sam regarding the crew.
Well, yeah, I mean, to watch, I've now been away from my home for 4 weeks straight, so I'm living every day with them. I mean, the 48-hour turnaround after Indy, we're very fortunate that clear in the 36 segment they did last year, and we're all pushing the same direction. So there was nobody had their heads down. They knew what they had to do, and they got it done. So yeah, kudos to the drivers for keeping the cars in one piece. That made life a little easier, but the next 3 or 4 weeks is not going to be easy.
Okay, we'll go with David.
Last year here, you qualified 4th and finished 3rd. How much development have all the teams done with the DW12s where you could be so struggling yesterday? And how close was today's setup to what you had last year, where you were the class of the field other than the 2 Ganassi guys?
It's it's a fair comment, but what we say out of launch, it's not 3 seconds. We're talking 7/10, 6/10 of a second, and then all of a sudden you're at the back of the field. It's just amazing. Track position also made a big difference today. But it's the understanding of how to ride the bumps better. You want to spend obviously most time as possible on the ground, and that's definitely what we improved on overnight. Yesterday we were spending way too much time up in the air. The ride was very rough, and we didn't know why. I mean, last year we were pretty good, but the tarmac has changed on most corners. So in areas where we were good last year, we're still good, but in areas that have changed, we're not in good shape. So we tried a few different things that were quite new and didn't work out yesterday. So we tried the other way with the same things, and it worked out in the morning. So it's not that simple. I mean, all the guys, they have to dig really deep into the data to understand how to gain grip, and that's exactly what they did. So hat off to them, because you got to be pretty smart to understand those things right now.
Well, we'll go ahead and conclude today's press conference. Congratulations to Simon, Sam, Damien, Rick, and just a reminder that we will be joined momentarily in here for an availability with the chairman of the Chevrolet Belle Isle Grand Prix, Bud Denker.
Thanks, Sam. Congratulations again, too. Is it pounding a little better than it was a few years ago? Bruce has already got his hand up.
Yeah. For those in the back and in here, we've got Chevrolet Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix Chairman Bud Denker. We're going to get some few comments from him to wrap up this weekend's event. If anyone wants to join us here in the press conference area, we'll get started in just a second. Let's go ahead and get started. I guess just first off, long 3 days of racing, terrific event here on Belle Isle. If you could just kind of share your overall thoughts and comments on the 2013 Chevrolet Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix.
Well, I would start by going back 365 days ago, and when the race was over, I went to the Chevrolet Bridge and parked myself there for almost an hour and apologized to people for what had occurred. And our fault for the track coming apart, our fault for not being as prepared as we had expected to be. And we have a saying at Penske about Penske perfect. It wasn't perfect. Today, I just parked myself out there and thanked everybody for coming to our event. So, no apologies needed today. We had a great event, a great weekend, and I can't be prouder than my staff and how about those 1,115 volunteers out there. Everybody you talk to says the same thing. There's smiles on their faces, there are great ambassadors, and those are people that make this thing happen. So, and how about those overhead shots of our city? I mean, anybody that watched this, I got texts from England, from all around the world, people saying, "That's Detroit? That's Detroit?" And it was Detroit, and it was Belle Isle. So we've come a long way in 1 year, and I think things that we talked about last year, I said right here, it said, we're going to fix the track. We did that. We're going to make the track longer. We did that. And we're going to bring pride back to this event. And we did that as well from what people have told me so far. So I'm very happy.
Something to be proud of. So come off a weekend where we had 5 races here with not only the Duel in Detroit, but also obviously the Grand Am Rolex Series, the Early World Challenge Series. I guess your overall thoughts about how Detroit was the first debut for the Duel doubleheader, Chevrolet and Duel in Detroit presented by Quicken Loans. What are your thoughts on that track holding up over the course of 2 stressful days of action, and just what do you think how do you think that worked?
Well, we couldn't announce last year the Duel at this time because we hadn't had it completed and we hadn't had it done yet with Randy Bernard, then the CEO. But we were working on it, and after what occurred last year, I raised my hand and said we need to do something different here in Detroit, and the Duel was invented. Huge success. If you talk to any fan out there, any sponsor out there, they loved that event. How could you not want 2 IndyCar races as a fan or a sponsor? Is it the stress of the team? Sure, I sit in the Team Penske trailer most of the time, as you know, as one of the principals there. And I know it's stressful in the team to see our guys working last night till probably 1 or 2 in the morning fixing AJ's car. Was tough. But we also need to change some of the rules in the sport to get the sport back to where it needs to be. And this is one great game changer in having a Duel in Detroit. Where else could you have sponsors that bring as many people on Saturday as they bring on Sunday now? And then we had that here. Where else can you have as many fans on a Saturday, almost as you had on Sunday as well? So huge for us, huge for the fans, and most importantly, huge for showcasing our city. I mean, we showcased our cities twice in ways we couldn't imagine. We can't put a value on that.
But in terms of attendance, we had a lot of questions from media up here. Can you kind of give us some preliminary attendance numbers that we've learned even here just in the last few minutes?
Yeah, the way for us that we track with the attendance mostly is by who comes across in our bridges and our ferries, our buses and our ferries, right? So we know those numbers because each of them pays a fee to come across in our bridges or our buses across the bridge. At 2 ferries this year working, as you know, we have 110 buses transporting people here. So our preliminary numbers are right at about 100,000 people, looks like. Today, we blew out of the park today. We were almost full in every grandstand. Yesterday, we had a lot of no-shows. Prognosticators of the weather were saying that we're going to have, damaging winds and hail possibly. I think it kept some people away, but boy, they sure turned out today. One of my measurements with the barometer was, you guys probably didn't see it, but all the way down to turn 3, which is the best seat in the house, we built a 500-person grandstand, right? I sat down there yesterday and watched the race for an hour just to kind of chill out. There's no better seat in the house, man, but it's a quarter-mile walk. And there were probably 100 people there yesterday. I'm like, God, people just don't know about this event. Today, sold out. Packed. People went down there. Heard about it or something, and so we had we're estimating 100,000 is what our estimates are now. We don't know this for sure, but our preliminary numbers indicate that our totals of who came across the bridge equal that number, which we're very happy with, by the way.
Do you want to give a breakdown about it, how we came up with that?
Yeah, it took about 25 on Friday. These are good numbers, by the way. They're not promoters' numbers, right? We all know those numbers. About 30,000 and about 40 to 45 today. And if anybody see the concert today, the Plain White Tees, it was not out there. We haven't had a crowd like that before, stretching all the way across the Coming Fun Zone before. I was worried. I sat there in the infield for pre-race, and Grandstand 1 might have been a third full. So I was really worried. At the drop of the flag, it had filled up.
Late arriving crowd.
It had filled up, so I guess they all came from the concert late. But no, the team we have here, I mentioned the volunteers, but we're pretty lean as a company. Charles Burns was right back here, by the way. You all know Charles, our general manager, and the team just did an extraordinary job. Just a great, great job. putting this thing together, holding it together. Our roads aren't totally fixed yet. We fixed them for the event. More work has to be done there because the asphalt still is very fragile. But we did enough to get us through what we had to do.
And Bud, we'll take a couple questions from the audience, but first off, if you could, share your plans. I know you've got already thinking in your mind about things we do in the future here. I don't know what you're willing to share at this point, but can you tell us some of the things that you've got in terms of what we're going to do in the future here on Valhalla?
We needed to improve racing last year, didn't we? How many passes did you have last year? Not many. How many do you have this year? You have a bunch. How many problems do you have this year? You had problems at paces we haven't had them before. Turn 8, how about right out here? Simona must have lost her steering, but how about Ryan having a problem and missing agent? How about turn 3 had all kinds of action all weekend long. Turn 4, turn 6, all of them had major issues with overtaking and also competitive racing. So our plans are, first of all, we got to fix the backstretch. If you've been to the backstretch at all, you'll see that it's very bumpy. Now, I'm not fixing it to take the bumps out because the bumps create a lot of character, frankly. I don't want an oval. I don't want an oval. But we need to fix it for a couple of reasons. A, the asphalt's very fragile, and B, it doesn't drain very well. If you notice when it rains back there, it pools really quick. We had 6 sweepers we brought in, 4 extra ones on Saturday morning, just in case. We also brought in, just so you know, 600 tons of topsoil and aggregate rock to take care of all the mud from Friday morning and Sunday mornings. 600 tons we brought across that bridge to ensure people had a great experience. So we got to repave the backstretch. And when we do that, I'd like to also remove a bit of the kink back there. The backstretch comes out, and then when it comes to braking, there's a kink. And that kink prevents people from overtaking and braking like it does in turn 3. So imagine having 2 turn 3s on this racetrack, straight, straightaways over a half-mile in length, and we get those 2 done. You can overtake it in 1, you can overtake it in 3, very easy to overtake now, also in turn 7. So we also saw some overtaking out here in the horseshoe for the first time. I've never seen people pass out there, and the reason they could is because the new concrete's got terrific grip, unbelievable grip out there. So I'm also going to put if you saw these double-decker chalets back here, everybody see these double-decker chalets that we have built for this event? I'm going to move those over to the front stretch and then build a bigger grandstand in turn 1, okay, in the corner, because that's a great vantage point. Build it higher, build it bigger to take the place of those grandstands in grandstand 2, which we cross. So those changes we've already got in our minds on, but the first things first, that is to repair the roads. They have to be repaired. We repaired the concrete where the problems were last year. Now we got to fix the asphalt.
Very good. By the way, the event dates for next year: May 30th, 31st, and June 1st, 2014. May 30th, 31st, and June 1st. 30th, 31st, June 1st. 30th. Okay. With the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Let's take some questions. Bruce, right here.
All right, here comes the softball, so you can go ahead and head out of the park. What did you think of the doubleheaders, and are you going to have a doubleheader back next year?
We are petitioning heavily to have the doubleheaders back again next year. I mean, I think there's a couple drivers that may not want it, but by far, for the fan and for the sponsor, those are the 2 key advocates we've got. We want support. Raving fans, and yes, so I want it back next year. I'm going to vote hard to have it next year. Do anything I can with Mark and the team, Mark Miles and the team, Robbie Green, is to have that back again next year. I mean, the series needs it. We want it, and even if there's only 1 next year, I'll take it. I want to have it here.
Marshall, back. Over to David.
But you have something very unique here that you don't find at many street court or many tracks, and that's a turn 2, where cars coming over that brow, 3-wheel it, sometimes 2-wheel it. It's a phenomenal viewing experience. Is there any possibility of adding a grandstand on the outside of turn 2 and promoting it? That this is truly a unique place on the planet to watch cars do things you really can't see anywhere else.
Yeah, so we had one there last year. Marshall, in turn 2, and we had one in 06 and 07, I'm sorry, 07 and 08 also. We couldn't sell it. It was only, we had a 2,200 person grandstand there, and we only sold 1,100 tickets last year there. And the same thing was true, so we removed that. And this year what we did was we put a handicap platform up there. So people who were waiting to get across for a cold track, we gave them the opportunity of going to a specially designed raised 8-foot high or 6-foot high platform to be able to watch the race on a ramped basis to ensure that challenged people were able to just have a place to sit and just sit there and wait for the track to go cold. So you're right. I mean, especially you saw how aging today. You come out that thing swirly. The other thing about turn 2 is that's the opportunity to come off strong to have an overtake into turn 3. So we like that character. There's a little bit of jump there because the bridge was put in just a few years ago. But we just had a hard time selling it. Now, one idea was that people had looked at next year is people thought about why don't we have a grandstand on the straightaway, maybe just beyond turn 3 or turn 2 on the inside, past where the old road was. So that's an idea for us to look at. That's one of those moments, right? But I got to tell you, the straightaway from turn 2 down to turn 3 was packed with people. They're wall to wall, just standing there watching it. So maybe what you do is you build something like we do in Indy. Remember the berms and the hills up there. Create an event, environment like that, versus a grandstand, so people can sit there and watch that kind of environment. There's an idea. So let's do that. Yeah, it's more money.
How did the Saturday crowd compare to the Saturday crowd last year, where they were just watching qualifying? That's one question. Then the other one is the asphalt that you want to replace. How well has it stood up to today's punishing, or this weekend's punishment that it's received, and is it strong enough to withstand another winter? How often is it going to have to be replaced?
Yeah, the asphalt, I'll tell you right now, the asphalt between turns 6 and 7, and the asphalt between 11 and 12 cannot withstand another race. Can't withstand another race. Can't. I'll tell you right now, there were no cameras out there. We were out there an hour before the race, sealing parts of turns 11 and 12, asphalt. 20 minutes before the race, we were putting some sealant down out there. Not that they thought nothing that was coming apart was not coming apart. We were just kind of preventive maintenance. We just saw some areas that looked to be stressed because, we know right now that we can't go through another winter and not place the back straightaway and between the short chute between 11 and 12, all along the route. And one of the reasons why is if you go out there and look at that track, you'll see that in fact there's pebbles come off quite easily, and those pebbles can be jumped with projectiles. And the reason why is because people park all along that during every day of the year in the summer, and their oil and their fluids leak out of the racetrack, and that's what causes the asphalt to break down and deteriorate. And I call it a spider web, and then it flakes off. So we. With no cameras back there, we kind of snuck out a couple of times today and did some sealing just to ensure nothing happened. Nothing did happen. We were sure it wasn't going to happen, just in case. Can you imagine having a problem again this year? It wasn't going to be the case. You'd have a different promoter and a different general manager if you did. Okay. It wasn't do Rogers once, but not twice. So.
I understand that part of the reason for this race is to raise money to improve the park beyond just improving it for another race. Can you say anything about how successful that was, or did you make any money for that project?
Yeah, we do provide a fee to Belle Isle to make any money or not. We weren't probably going to make any money in this event this year, probably no. But that's not the primary reason for being here. It's for us. It's to give back to Belle Isle. We will invest this year. We'll spend over $500,000 on Belle Isle this year. The Scott Fountain, which is now flowing again, by the way, it started up this week because of the event being here. to lighting, to sewer systems, to the roadways, to curbs, to sidewalks. Those are all things we invested in this year. And we also pay a fee to Belle Isle, over $100,000, $200,000 to be here as well. And they can use that money, the city can any way they want to, so here on Belle Isle. So our goal is to continue giving back to Belle Isle, make it a better place. We saw beautiful looks. We cut the trees, we put mulch around the trees, we trim, we cut. We made it look beautiful, and that's our goal every year is to do that. So last year we spent a lot of money. This year we're going to spend a lot of money, more money, because the roadways have to be improved, and the drainage has got to be improved. Part of the reason the roads are coming apart is nowhere for the water to drain. It just sits there. When you have geese sitting in the roadway on the backstretch, that's a problem. When it rains.
All right, ducks. Yeah. Could we have more random wildlife then?
Any suggestions? Or sort of follow what you want?